Friends, what I am about to share with you is of the utmost importance, a matter of eternal consequence that demands your immediate and undivided attention. There is a subtle, insidious threat lurking right now, not in some far-off land or shadowy corner, but within the very devices we hold in our hands, the phones that have become extensions of ourselves. Something on that phone, perhaps something you downloaded with good intentions, is working against you, against your soul, even as you go about your day, even as you sleep, even as you attempt to draw near to the Almighty. It is slowly, imperceptibly dimming the very light of the Spirit within you, and the truly alarming aspect is this: you likely welcomed it into your life, believing it would enhance your existence. I have come to a stark and unsettling realization, something that will forever alter the way you perceive those glowing icons on your screen. This is not merely another admonition about excessive screen time or a call for a digital detox, though those concerns are valid. No, this is a warning about the battle for your eternal soul, a conflict being waged in the unseen realm, right there in your pocket. Over the past months, I have dedicated myself to researching this critical issue, seeking counsel from those with spiritual discernment, and what I have uncovered has left me deeply troubled. But understand this, my friends, this message is not rooted in fear, but in a profound desire for your freedom. Freedom from the digital chains that are so subtly and effectively binding your spirit. Freedom from those applications that are gradually supplanting your God-given purpose with fleeting notifications and the hollow validation of the digital realm. By the conclusion of this message, you will possess the knowledge to identify and remove the most spiritually perilous applications from your devices. You will understand the specific reasons why certain popular apps pose a greater danger than others. And, most crucially, you will learn how to steward your technology in a manner that strengthens, rather than weakens, your connection to the divine. This is not conjecture, not some unfounded theory. These are facts, supported by both timeless spiritual wisdom and contemporary research. And if you find yourself thinking, it's just an app, how much harm can it truly do? I urge you to trust me when I say that what I am about to reveal will open your eyes to a reality that remains unseen by the vast majority. Stay with me, for what you are about to learn could very well be the deciding factor between digital enslavement and true spiritual liberty. The well-being of your soul hangs in the balance, perhaps more than you currently comprehend. Behind every vibrant display and user-friendly interface lies an intricate and meticulously crafted web of digital deception. Each notification, each fleeting like, each small surge of dopamine serves a deeper, strategic purpose, to progressively draw us away from divine truth and immerse us in a world of artificial meaning. What is particularly striking is the sheer subtlety with which this deception operates. Modern applications are no longer mere tools, they have become gateways that actively reshape our perception of reality. When we endlessly scroll through our feeds, we are not simply whiling away a few moments. We are being conditioned, subtly yet relentlessly, to seek validation from collections of pixels rather than from prayer, to find solace in ephemeral comments rather than in profound contemplation. Deep within the architecture of these popular applications lies sophisticated psychology, deliberately engineered to hijack our attention spans and exploit our inherent spiritual vulnerabilities. Consider those seemingly innocuous productivity applications. They promise to enhance efficiency, yet they often insidiously replace God's perfect timing with rigid, self-imposed schedules. Weather applications appear helpful, but can they subtly diminish our trust in the providential hand of the Almighty? Even calculator apps, in their own way, can contribute to a reliance on digital certainty rather than on spiritual discernment. What is truly alarming is not merely the effect of individual applications, but their cumulative impact on our spiritual sensitivity. Every minute spent in mindless tapping and scrolling is a minute stolen from potential divine connection. Each push notification is not just an interruption of our focus, it fragments our spiritual awareness, making it increasingly challenging to maintain a deep and meaningful communion with higher truth. Research indicates that the average person now checks their phone an astounding 96 times daily. Think of it, 96 potential moments for seeking God, for prayer, for reflection, replaced by digital distraction. These constant interruptions do more than break our concentration, they chip away at our spiritual core. Modern applications have mastered the insidious art of creating artificial urgency. That little red badge, that persistent pulsing notification light, they trigger something primal within us, convincing us that digital messages warrant immediate attention, often at the expense of spiritual promptings. This manufactured sense of urgency slowly erodes our capacity to differentiate between what is truly important and what is merely urgent. But the deception extends far beyond surface-level distractions. These applications are not just altering our behaviors, they are subtly reshaping our spiritual DNA, rewiring the very way we process meaning, truth, and purpose. Each seemingly harmless scroll creates microscopic separations between our souls and divine guidance, constructing invisible walls, pixel by insidious pixel. Social media platforms, initially conceived as bridges for connection, have in many ways become modern-day towers of Babel, structures built upon the shaky foundations of pride, comparison, and spiritual confusion. What began as tools for sharing life's moments has morphed into altars where we unwittingly sacrifice our peace, our authenticity, and our very God-given purpose. Most concerning is the manner in which these platforms systematically substitute genuine spiritual fulfillment with shallow imitations. Every like becomes a counterfeit blessing. Each share masquerades as true ministry. Fleeting comments pose as meaningful fellowship. Yet, beneath this carefully constructed digital veneer lies a profound spiritual emptiness that no amount of engagement can ever truly fill. Scrolling through the meticulously curated feeds of others triggers a dangerous and destructive spiral of comparison. While ancient wisdom teaches the virtues of contentment and gratitude, social media platforms actively fuel an endless cycle of spiritual dissatisfaction. Users find themselves constantly measuring their own blessings against the carefully filtered snapshots of others' lives, unknowingly participating in a contemporary form of idolatry. Research reveals disturbing correlations. Increased social media usage directly corresponds with decreased time spent in prayer, reduced engagement with biblical study, and a diminished sense of spiritual peace. The average person now spends approximately 2.5 hours daily on social media. That is 2.5 hours each day when their spirits could be receiving true nourishment, instead of being fed with digital empty calories. Beyond the sheer waste of time lies a deeper, more insidious corruption. Social platforms subtly and relentlessly shift our focus from eternal values to the fleeting allure of temporary validation. Sacred moments are reduced to mere photo opportunities. Quiet reflection is transformed into status updates. Private prayers are morphed into public performances. This constant seeking of external validation gradually erodes our capacity to find genuine peace and security in God's approval alone. Many users report feeling spiritually depleted and drained after extended scrolling sessions, yet few recognize the underlying cause. These platforms masterfully exploit our God-given desire for community and connection, redirecting it towards shallow interactions that ultimately leave our souls malnourished. Each scroll creates a form of spiritual static, making it increasingly difficult to discern divine guidance amidst the digital noise. Perhaps most deceptively, social media presents itself as a tool for spreading light and truth, while often becoming a significant source of darkness. Users scroll past countless inspirational quotes and religious content, yet studies indicate that increased platform usage correlates with a decrease in authentic spiritual practice and genuine faith application. Modern mindfulness applications present themselves as tranquil sanctuaries of peace within our chaotic world. Yet, these digital meditation guides often lead seekers down a path that subtly, but dangerously, contradicts true spiritual growth. What masquerades as enlightenment frequently becomes yet another form of spiritual misdirection. Beneath the polished interfaces and soothing, digitally generated voices lies a fundamental paradox. These apps promote the emptying of our minds when we should be actively filling them with divine truth. They encourage users to find peace and solace within themselves, rather than through seeking higher guidance. Each guided session subtly reinforces the dangerous notion of self-reliance over dependence on the Almighty, creating a profound spiritual confusion cloaked in peaceful packaging. Something profoundly concerning occurs when ancient spiritual practices are commodified through technology. Traditional meditation, once centered on communion with divine truth, now often promotes a watered-down spirituality, conveniently packaged to fit with in-app notifications and progress trackers. Sacred practices are transformed into gamified experiences, complete with achievement badges and social sharing features. Research suggests that regular users of mindfulness apps may report feeling more spiritual, while simultaneously becoming less engaged with authentic faith practices. These applications skillfully blur the crucial lines between true peace and temporary calm, between divine wisdom and secular meditation techniques. Users often mistakenly equate emotional tranquility with genuine spiritual growth, missing the critical distinctions between mere relaxation and a profound connection with the divine. Many popular meditation apps incorporate elements from various spiritual traditions, creating a hazardous spiritual smoothie that lacks true nourishment. While claiming to reduce anxiety and stress, these apps can inadvertently increase spiritual uncertainty by presenting a buffet of contradictory beliefs and practices. Users may find themselves engaging in techniques that directly oppose their core spiritual beliefs without even realizing it. Most concerning is the way these apps standardize and sanitize spiritual practices, stripping them of their sacred essence while retaining just enough spiritual language to appear legitimate. They promise inner peace through carefully timed breathing exercises and guided visualizations, yet often lead users further away from authentic spiritual truth, rather than towards it. Clinical studies might indeed show a temporary reduction in stress levels among users of these apps, but at what profound spiritual cost? By training users to seek peace through screens rather than through prayer, these applications may be cultivating a generation of spiritually confused individuals who mistake app-induced relaxation for genuine divine connection. Content streaming applications market themselves as harmless entertainment, yet beneath their glossy facades lies a sophisticated system designed to gradually erode spiritual values. Each automatically playing episode, each subtly personalized recommendation, serves as another brick in an invisible wall being erected between viewers and divine truth. Most streaming platforms employ advanced algorithms that meticulously study viewing patterns, gradually pushing the boundaries of what users consider acceptable. What begins as seemingly innocuous content slowly shifts towards increasingly questionable material, desensitizing viewers through small, almost imperceptible increments. Shows that once would have sparked moral discomfort become normalized through repeated exposure. Research reveals troubling patterns in how excessive streaming content impacts spiritual sensitivity. Studies indicate that increased streaming correlates with decreased time devoted to prayer, reduced engagement with spiritual reading, and a diminished capacity for moral discernment. Even more alarming, many viewers report a gradual erosion of their natural aversion to content that directly contradicts their deeply held spiritual values after prolonged platform usage. Hidden within seemingly innocent entertainment lurks carefully crafted messaging that subtly challenges traditional values. Modern shows skillfully weave questionable worldviews into compelling narratives, making moral compromises appear reasonable, even admirable. Characters who embody virtue are often portrayed as naive or outdated, while those who embrace moral ambiguity are presented as sophisticated and relatable. The phenomenon of binge-watching presents another significant spiritual danger. It trains minds to crave constant stimulation rather than quiet reflection. Sacred evening hours, once traditionally reserved for prayer, family, and contemplation, now dissolve into marathon viewing sessions. Each click to the next episode further weakens spiritual discipline, replacing divine appointments with digital distractions. Most alarmingly, entertainment applications have mastered the art of subtle attitude adjustment through engaging storytelling and emotional manipulation. They gradually reshape viewers' perspectives on fundamental truths. Moral absolutes become negotiable. Divine standards appear outdated. Spiritual conviction is subtly reframed as intolerance. Data reveals that average users spend a staggering 3.2 hours daily on streaming platforms. This is precious time that could be devoted to receiving true spiritual nourishment instead of artificial fulfillment. This digital consumption does not merely occupy time, it actively shapes worldviews, gradually replacing divine wisdom with Hollywood values. Beyond mere distraction, these platforms function as modern-day parables in reverse, stories that slowly and insidiously guide viewers away from eternal truth, rather than toward it. Each viewing session subtly influences not only how we spend our time but also how we perceive right and wrong, truth and falsehood, the sacred and the profane. Gaming and gambling applications present themselves as harmless pastimes, yet they have perfected an insidious form of spiritual warfare. Within their colorful interfaces and enticing reward systems lies a carefully constructed maze designed to ensnare souls in cycles of digital dependence. Most devastating is the way these apps exploit fundamental spiritual vulnerabilities. Each level gained, each rare digital item acquired, each fleeting winning streak triggers dopamine responses in the brain that mimic genuine spiritual fulfillment. Players relentlessly chase digital achievements while true spiritual accomplishments gather dust and are forgotten. What begins as casual entertainment often evolves into compulsive behavior, insidiously replacing prayer time with playtime. Research exposes shocking statistics regarding the spiritual impact of gaming addiction. Studies reveal that dedicated gamers spend an average of 4.5 hours daily immersed in virtual worlds, time tragically stolen from real-world spiritual growth. Even more troubling, many users report feeling a greater sense of accomplishment from completing in-game objectives than from fulfilling actual spiritual duties. Beyond mere time consumption, these applications masterfully create alternate value systems. Virtual currencies replace the value of real wealth. Digital friendships are presented as substitutes for genuine fellowship. And artificial achievements are marketed as true purpose. Players invest countless hours building elaborate virtual kingdoms while their spiritual foundations crumble unnoticed. The integration of gambling elements within many games poses particularly severe spiritual dangers. Loot boxes, gacha systems, and in-app purchases cleverly exploit the inherent human weakness for chance and the allure of reward. These mechanics closely mirror traditional gambling but often escape regulatory oversight through clever disguises. Young users, in particular, can develop gambling mindsets while mistakenly believing they are simply playing games. Most concerning is how these apps actively rewire spiritual priorities. Players often feel a greater sense of urgency about claiming daily login rewards than about engaging in daily devotions. They exhibit more commitment to guild responsibilities than to the responsibilities within their spiritual communities. They invest more time and energy in enhancing their virtual character statistics than in their own spiritual character. Development. This digital devotion slowly and relentlessly displaces genuine spiritual dedication. The advanced psychological tactics employed by these apps create powerful spiritual strongholds. Variable reward schedules, social pressure mechanics, and the fear of missing out, FOMO, techniques forge invisible chains of digital bondage. Users find themselves bound by unseen ties to virtual worlds, often unable to break free despite recognizing their own spiritual decline. The multiplayer components of many games add another layer of spiritual complexity. Online communities become substitute churches. Guild leaders replace spiritual mentors. And virtual missions supersede real-world purpose. Players increasingly find their sense of belonging and identity in digital spaces rather than in authentic spiritual communities. Dating applications promise divine connections through digital means, yet they have tragically created a marketplace where sacred bonds are reduced to mere transactions. Behind the glossy profiles and clever algorithms lies a system that fundamentally distorts how we view love, commitment, and God's intended purpose for relationships. Most troubling is the way these platforms reduce soul-level connections to superficial swipes and fleeting impressions. Sacred attributes like character, faith, and spiritual depth become secondary to carefully curated photographs and witty, often shallow, bios. Users find themselves judging potential life partners with far less consideration than they might give to choosing what to have for dinner. Quick, superficial decisions are being made about matters of profound and eternal significance. Research reveals concerning patterns in how dating apps affect spiritual relationships. Studies indicate that active users become increasingly judgmental, treating potential partners as disposable options rather than as individuals created in God's image and potentially part of His divine plan. This mentality of endless choice often prevents genuine, meaningful connections from forming, as users constantly wonder if someone better might be just one more swipe away. Beyond this superficiality lies a deeper spiritual danger. These apps subtly reshape our expectations regarding God's perfect timing in relationships. Instead of trusting in His sovereign plan and perfect timing, users attempt to force connections through digital means. Natural seasons of singleness, which can be crucial for focused spiritual growth and development, are interrupted by the constant barrage of swiping and messaging. Dating platforms masterfully exploit our inherent loneliness while paradoxically deepening it. Each fleeting match provides a brief dopamine hit, creating addiction-like patterns in relationship seeking. Users frequently report feeling more isolated and alone despite having numerous superficial connections, as quantity tragically replaces true quality in relationship building. Most alarming is the way these apps normalize spiritual compromise. Filters for religious preferences become mere suggestions rather than foundational requirements. Values that once seemed non-negotiable slowly shift into mere preferences as the desperate desire for connection outweighs spiritual conviction. Each individual compromise may seem small and insignificant, yet collectively they create a significant and dangerous spiritual drift. The premium features offered by many of these apps introduce another deeply concerning element: paying for potential divine connections. This commodification of relationships distorts sacred processes into commercial transactions. Users begin viewing potential partners through a return on investment lens rather than through the lens of spiritual discernment. The prevalence of ghosting, those shallow interactions that disappear as quickly as they form, further contributes to the spiritual damage. These brief, often meaningless exchanges leave a residue of spiritual numbness, gradually desensitizing users to genuine connection while creating cycles of false hope and bitter disappointment that can severely damage faith in God's provision and perfect timing. Right now, friends, divine wisdom calls each of us to examine our digital lives with renewed clarity and discernment. Every app deletion can become an act of spiritual warfare, a decisive step taken to reclaim ground lost to the enemy. Each conscious choice to disconnect, even for a brief period, represents a tangible step toward genuine freedom. This is not merely about improving phone hygiene, it is about the preservation of your very soul in an increasingly digital age. Throughout this sobering examination, we have uncovered how seemingly innocent applications wage a subtle yet relentless war against our spiritual well-being. From social media's false altars of validation to the spiritual confusion fostered by mindfulness apps, from the insidious erosion of values through entertainment to the addictive bonds forged by gaming and the commodification of sacred connections by dating apps, each category presents unique and significant spiritual challenges that demand our immediate and prayerful attention. Now arrives a crucial moment of decision. Look at your phone right now. Those glowing icons represent far more than just simple applications, they represent choices. Each one either actively strengthens or insidiously weakens your spiritual connection with the living God. Some must be eliminated immediately and without hesitation, while others may require the establishment of strict boundaries and a far more conscious and intentional pattern of usage. Here is a clear and actionable path forward for each of you. First, conduct a thorough spiritual audit of the applications residing on your phone. Prayerfully and honestly assess each one. Remove, without delay, anything that consistently pulls you away from prayer, from meditating on the unchanging truth of Scripture, or from genuine, edifying fellowship with other believers. Be especially vigilant with applications that trigger feelings of comparison and spiritual dissatisfaction, those that actively cultivate addictive usage patterns, those that normalize content that directly contradicts your deeply held spiritual values, those that subtly replace real and meaningful spiritual connections with shallow digital substitutes, and those that demonstrably waste precious time that could and should be invested in genuine spiritual growth and development. Second, establish sacred digital boundaries in your life. Set specific times for engaging with applications, consciously creating ample space for genuine spiritual connection, for uninterrupted prayer, and for focused study of God's Word. Turn off all non-essential notifications, especially during designated prayer times and moments of family connection. Seriously consider implementing regular digital Sabbaths, complete breaks from all phone usage for extended periods, dedicated solely to spiritual renewal and undistracted communion with the Lord. Third, Intentionally and consistently replace digital habits with purposeful spiritual practices. When the temptation arises to mindlessly scroll through social media, consciously reach instead for a spiritually enriching book or your Bible. Rather than seeking the fleeting validation of likes and comments, seek the eternal affirmation that comes through prayer and obedience to God. Instead of succumbing to the lure of binge-watching endless streams of entertainment, actively invest that precious time in nurturing real, face-to-face relationships and engaging in meaningful acts of service within your community. Most importantly, recognize and accept that this digital decluttering is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process, a continuous posture of vigilance. Our spiritual adversary is relentlessly creative, constantly developing new and alluring digital traps, requiring us to maintain a spirit of discernment and regularly reassess our patterns of app usage. Remember this fundamental and liberating truth: technology itself is not inherently evil. It is merely a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for purposes that either serve or sabotage our spiritual growth. The key lies not in a complete and often unrealistic rejection of all technology, but in its conscious, spirit-led, and spiritually discerning usage, governed by clear boundaries and a constant awareness of its potential impact on our souls. Some applications can indeed genuinely support our spiritual growth when used with wisdom, moderation, and clearly defined boundaries. For those who may be feeling overwhelmed by the weight of this message, take heart. Even small, intentional steps taken toward digital freedom can create a significant and lasting spiritual impact. Start with the courageous deletion of just one spiritually detrimental application today. Set one new, firm boundary regarding your phone usage. Make one conscious choice to replace a moment of digital distraction with a moment of intentional spiritual connection. These seemingly small acts of digital rebellion against the oppression of the spirit will begin to build a powerful momentum toward lasting freedom and genuine spiritual liberty. Consider the profound and lasting peace that awaits you on the other side of this digital decluttering: a deeper and more meaningful prayer life, stronger and more authentic spiritual connections with fellow believers, clearer and more consistent divine guidance, and a genuine and soul-deep rest that the digital realm can never offer. This enduring peace far outweighs any temporary discomfort or sense of loss that may accompany the deletion of an app or the setting of a digital boundary. If this message has resonated with your spirit and you recognize the truth of what has been shared, please take a moment to support the mission of spreading spiritual truth in this increasingly digital age. Share this message with someone you know who may be struggling with the subtle but powerful bondage of digital addiction. Your one share could be the very divine appointment they need for a breakthrough. Together, we can create a movement of spiritually conscious digital users who refuse to allow mere applications to dictate their spiritual destiny. Finally, I encourage you to reflect on your own experiences of breaking free from digital spiritual bondage and to share your testimony with others. Your story may be the very encouragement and practical guidance that another viewer desperately needs to hear. Let us build a community of believers who are committed to using technology in ways that enhance, rather than erode, our spiritual lives. Remember, every notification you consciously silence creates precious space to hear the still, small voice of divine guidance. Every application you courageously delete opens up more room in your life for genuine spiritual growth. Every boundary you diligently set strengthens the defenses of your soul against the subtle attacks of the enemy. The choice, ultimately, is yours. Will you continue to allow the apps on your phone to subtly shape your spiritual journey, or will you, by God's grace and with determined intention, take control today and walk in the freedom that Christ has purchased for you? Thank you for investing this crucial time in the well-being of your eternal soul. May you find the courage and the strength to make the necessary changes, and may you experience the abundant freedom that awaits on the other side of digital bondage. Until we meet again, guard your spirit diligently in this digital age, and may true and lasting peace be your constant companion.